But here we have what strikes me, a guy that is not big, that is extremely lovable by all accounts, known for his speed, known for his hitting, and he's getting busted. Dee Gordon for PEDs. What do you think as a former player, as an active member in the union, about what's going on right now?
Well, I think it's really have to make a decision on what do they want. Do they really want to clean this game up from performance-enhancing drugs or not? If so, they have to do something which is going to be a lot more severe, a lot more significant if you look at the penalties involved. I don't like it. I would like to see the game clean. I know before there was a policy in effect, there were a lot of things going on in baseball that a lot of people weren't aware of. As a former pitcher, I didn't realize how many pitchers were using steroids during that era. But it did sort of saved baseball after the strike of 94, 95. The home run races and all the power and everything that happened, I think really did a lot to get baseball back on the map. So it's a very difficult decision, but I think the players are the ones who ultimately will decide how severe we want to make this punishment.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that. Number one, Dee Gordon should have been suspended another 80 games for wearing those socks at the beginning of the highlights there, but that's a completely different topic. You know, if Justin Verlander and other players are upset, they can take that up in their next collective bargaining agreement with the owners. But this is the United States. You are innocent until you're proven guilty, and so that's the process. I don't know if we're aware of any player that had tested positive and then during the appeals process found out that it was a false negative or whatever. And in a bigger picture now, and it's just 1 month in the season, and we'll see what happens the rest of the season, but we're talking about 2 players among 750. So yeah, you can look at Colabello and say, he needs to do something because he's at the end of his career. He's trying to make some money before he ends up being a high school coach or whatever. And then the contrast to Dee Gordon, why would he do that? That's a good question, Joel. But we're also talking about 2 players out of 750.
That's a good point. Now, you talk about the union doing something, and Justin Verlander's a big voice. He's one of the great pitchers of his generation, and he was doing some talking the other day, not happy about this at all.
A little frustrated because I feel like, I'm frustrated for everybody because I feel like there could be outcomes in a game that otherwise wouldn't have taken place. And we grind for 162 games a year. You would hate to look back at anything and say the what if game.
If enough of the Justin Verlanders speak out, the union's going to listen. Those are guys that make a lot of money that are important to this game. I don't think it matters that he was playing games or not, Monty. If he gets his 80 games, one way or another, he's going to get the 80 games. So if his sitting affects things or doesn't affect things, it's going to happen at some point. My bigger concern, Monty and Ryan, is this. If Dee Gordon can go and take those drugs, he barely lost any salary at all. He has a big, huge contract right now. He's going to lose a very small percentage of it. There's a lot of incentive to cheat.
Well, especially early in your career like Dee Gordon, he's going to lose approximately 3% of his overall contract. He pays more than that to his agent probably to negotiate the contract. So the penalty is really insignificant. I think the only way to eliminate the situation, you have to make a much more severe and much more significant penalty. If you do get caught, 80 games, 80 games. I would say more like start out with a year and then go from there. But I think it'll be difficult to get the players and the Players Association to go beyond where they are right now.
Final thought, Ryan?
Well, Monty brings up a good point. I mean, even though we look back at the steroid era now, we go, because it affected the Major League record books and whatever. I mean, a lot of those guys made a lot of money, and they have a short period of time to make that kind of money. And whether they cheated or not, those guys now, the toughest decision that they make every day is what restaurant they're going to go have dinner. I mean, that's where Colabello, this is a career changer for him. But for Dee Gordon, he's got his contract. That doesn't mean he's a bad guy and he disrespected the game, but there's a lot of money to be made. These guys aren't going to be doing this job 20 or 30 years, and there's a lot on the line when you've got this short window. And I always go back to what Buck O'Neil said. Buck O'Neil, when asked about, PEDs and steroids in the game today, he says, you know what, if we had it when we played, I can't tell you that we wouldn't have used it.
Yeah.